Heartwarming twist, son discovers his mom's incredible secret: she's the CEO saving lives. Jake slumped in his chair, staring at the diner's worn linoleum floor. The air was thick with the comforting scent of fried food, but his heart felt heavy. Just that day, he had been pushed to the brink by his classmates' ruthless jokes about his family's financial struggles. He watched his mother, Sarah, bustling about the tiny diner, balancing plates laden with burgers and fries. To them, she was just an ordinary waitress, but to him, she was an anchor in the stormy seas of high school life. What he didn't know was that beneath that apron, his mom harbored a secret that would transform everything he thought he knew. That evening, the diner buzzed with familiar faces. Regulars filled booths, and laughter echoed like warm sunlight. Yet Jake's mind was elsewhere. He fidgeted in his corner, agonizing over the unexpected medical bills piling up at home. Car payments loomed, and his mother's tired hands sometimes shook as she poured coffee for customers. She did her best, working double shifts, yet the weight of their struggles never quite lifted. Suddenly, he sensed a shift, and not in his own oppressive thoughts. Voices drifted from a nearby table where two affluent patrons chatted animatedly. "Can you believe she did that? The nonprofit is saving lives nationwide," said one, excitement lacing his tone. Jake's ears perked up, his heart racing. Her name? It's definitely not Sarah, but who needs a name when the work speaks for itself? Intrigued, Jake leaned in, desperate to catch every word. Could it be true? Was his mother involved in something big and important? Before he could spiral too deeply into his thoughts, a bright noise erupted through the diner. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The words barely registered in Jake's mind as adrenaline surged. Could it be that his mom was the driving force behind this nonprofit, this life-saving organization? A torrent of emotions swirled in his chest: pride, confusion, fear. He was torn between wanting to burst into the conversation and needing to bury himself in shame. The very thought of being seen differently by his classmates was terrifying. At the town hall meeting a week later, tensions swirled thick. As voices raised in heated argument about funding, a spark ignited within Jake. He stood, heart pounding, and faced the crowd. "My mom works tirelessly for this community," he exclaimed, feeling eyes turn towards him, his voice shaky but resolute. "You think she's just a waitress, but she's a beacon of hope. She's saving lives, but all some see is her job, her worth." Silence hung in the air. Jake's breath quickened. What would they think? As he opened up about Sarah's sacrifices and her monumental work, the townsfolk began to change. Little by little, they started to see her not just as a waitress, but as a lifeline in their community, a harsh contrast to what they had known. But with the admiration came a stab of fear in Jake's heart. Could he really navigate a world that judged people based on their social status? As the room began to shift, Jake couldn't help but feel that he was standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to leap into the unknown. Could he bridge the gap between loving his mother and confronting the world's harsh judgment on their humble circumstances? With the weight of his family's future in mind and an aching desire for acceptance, Jake steeled himself for not just uncovering his mother's secret but for fighting fiercely for her rightful place in the community, a quest that would demand every ounce of courage he had. Jake walked home that night with his heart still racing from the town hall meeting. The faces of his neighbors flashed through his mind, their surprise and admiration for his mother reflected in their wide eyes. He felt a flicker of hope, a rare feeling that danced just on the edges of his fear. But would it last? The world outside his family's diner was still a harsh place, rife with judgments and stereotypes. As he entered their small home, he found Sarah washing dishes at the sink, her apron still tied around her waist. She looked tired, but there was something about her that felt different. Confidence radiated through her, and it gave Jake a moment of pause. Maybe she really was more than what everyone perceived. "Hey, Mom," he said softly, approaching her at the sink. She turned, smiling warmly, her hands still soapy but her eyes bright. "Hey, sweetie. How was the meeting?" she asked, her voice hopeful. Jake hesitated. Should he tell her what he had done? About standing up for her? This was his chance to connect on a deeper level, to show her she was seen not just as the waitress but as the force she truly was. He took a breath, gathering the words. "I told everyone that you work for that non-profit, that you're doing amazing things helping people." Sarah's expression shifted from curiosity to pride. "You did? Wow, Jake, that means the world to me. I never wanted to hide what I do. I just didn't want to overwhelm you with it." He ran a hand through his hair. "But why keep it a secret at all? You're amazing. People need to know." Her gaze fell, and she sighed, her body relaxing a little more. "I just worried about you. People can be cruel. I didn't want you to face judgment for my choices. I want you to have a good life, without the burden of my reality." Jake felt his chest tighten. Here she was, his rock, always putting him first. "But, Mom, look at what you're doing. You are saving lives. It's not just about money or a title. It's about who you are. And I'm proud of that." Her eyes glistened as she turned to face him fully. Jake had never seen her like this, so open, vulnerable. "Thank you, Jake. That means more than you know. I didn't want to put a spotlight on you. You've already got enough to deal with at school." As they shared that moment, something shifted in Jake. He wasn't just proud, he was inspired. Inspired to help his mother shift the narrative and reclaim their story together. Slowly, he began to realize that his voice could not only lift her up, but also change how others viewed her. Together, they could turn their struggles into strength. The next day at school, carrying the weight of his newfound confidence, Jake decided to wield his voice even more fiercely. He wanted to further challenge his classmates' perceptions not just of his mother, but of himself. During lunch, he approached a group who had often teased him about their financial struggles. Heart racing, he gulped in determination and prepared to share what he knew. "Hey!" he shouted over the chatter, gathering their attention. "I want to tell you about my mom. She's not just a waitress, she's a CEO of a life-saving nonprofit." The stunned silence offered him strength. Now, with adrenaline coursing through him, Jake pressed on. Could he really convince them to see beyond their petty judgments? As he spoke, the reactions shifted from disbelief to intrigue. But would he have the courage to turn their fascination into understanding? Would he finally help them see the beauty in his mother's fierce work? The stakes were higher than ever as he faced his classmates, each word carrying the weight of his heart. Jake stood there, filled with hope and uncertainty, ready to transform not just his own future, but his community's perception as well. Would his bravery lead to acceptance? Would they see Sarah in a new light? The world was vast, and so many questions loomed, but the answer lay in the choice he made that day. Would he take that leap? Jake's heart pounded in his chest as he faced the group of his classmates. The cafeteria, filled with laughter and playful jabs, seemed to hush around him. He could feel eyes narrowing, some skeptical, others curious. It was a mix he had hoped for, yet feared. Would they laugh? Would they mock him for being vulnerable? Seriously, he pressed, trying to lock eyes with the kids who teased him over the years. "You have no idea what my mom does. She's not just a waitress. She runs a nonprofit that helps people get back on their feet. It's a big deal." Finally, the whispers began. At first, they were soft, just ripples across the surface of the cafeteria, but Jake knew he had to push through. He told them about the stories he'd heard at home, about the single mothers who received help, the children who found mentors, and the families who found support when they felt lost. "I see her work so hard every day," he spoke passionately, his hands moving as though painting a picture. "She's dedicated, caring, and always believes in people even when they don't believe in themselves. She deserves recognition, not judgment." A few kids shared skeptical looks while others began to nod slowly. The words, raw and genuine, seemed to break through the barriers built over years of teasing and judgment. Jake noticed one girl in the back, Maya, a girl he'd fought to ignore when the teasing got especially harsh. She leaned forward, her expression shifting from indifference to genuine interest. "Wait, really?" she asked, her voice rising above the gradual buzz. "Your mom runs a nonprofit?" Jake swallowed hard, encouraged by her curiosity. "Yeah. It's called Hope Together. They help people with food, housing, jobs. It's more than just giving money, it's about creating community and changing lives." The more he shared, the more the interest spread like wildfire. Some students pulled out their phones, likely checking their facts or looking up the organization. Jake could almost see the gears turning in their minds. "You should talk about it more often." Another boy chimed in, breaking through the tension. Jake felt a spark of hope ignite inside him. This was not just about his mom, it was about himself too. "Yeah, exactly," he said, warming to the moment. "I mean, we all have our struggles. It's easy to judge from a distance, but you never know what someone might be facing. Just because someone works in a diner doesn't mean they're not changing lives, believe me. You all should get involved." A murmur of agreement swept through the group, and Jake felt electricity in the air. He had wrestled with his fears and shone a light on someone else's strength. Would they really get involved? Would they see his mom see him in a new way? Just then, the lunch bell rang, cutting through the moment like a knife. Students began to gather their things, excitement buzzing in the air. Maya caught his eye again and grinned. "You weren't kidding, were you?" Jake shrugged, trying to act nonchalant, but his heart soared. His words had left a ripple, an impact. He dared to hope that change was on the horizon, not just for his mom, but for their entire community. As he walked to his next class, each step felt lighter. Had he finally turned a corner? Was his voice strong enough to change hearts? Just before he slipped into the classroom, he caught sight of Sarah, who had entered the school for a meeting. Their eyes met, and she beamed at him, a mixture of pride and love reflected back. In that moment, Jake realized how interconnected their journeys were. The school year was far from over, and the battle for acceptance not finished. How much was he willing to risk for his mother's truth? Would he stand tall or retreat once more? Questions lingered in the hallways, buzzing like the electricity still lingering in the air. Jake felt it coursing through him. What would he do next? Jake couldn't shake the excitement from his conversation as he shuffled into English class. The buzz in his chest was a mix of hope and nervousness. The bell had just rung, and his teacher, Mr. Smith, was preparing the board for their lesson. Jake settled into his chair, the usual drudgery of grammar and essays seeming suddenly less daunting. His mind drifted back to the cafeteria, replaying the moment when he'd seen the expressions on his classmates' faces. It was hard to believe they took him seriously. His words had reached them, and that thought made him smile. "All right, class," Mr. Smith's voice broke through his reverie. "Today we're discussing persuasive writing. I want each of you to create a short speech on something you believe in." Jake's heart skipped. He already knew what he wanted to write about. His mom's work had lit a fire in him, and now, he wanted to spread it further. A chance to get the whole class to listen again, a chance to inspire. As the students scrambled to jot down ideas, Jake's pen glided across the paper. He wrote fast, pouring his heart into every word. He shared more about his mom's mission, the real stories of the lives she had touched, and the hope that rippled through their community. The murmured discussion swelled around him as classmates tapped their pens and shared ideas. A few turned their heads, glancing at him with curiosity. Jake sensed it. The atmosphere felt lighter, the gravity of judgment easing just a bit. When it came time to share their drafts, a mix of excited and anxious voices spoke up. As each student took turns, Jake listened carefully, his mind racing. The topics varied widely: sports, music, climate change, but through them all, a common thread emerged. Their voices were starting to find power. Finally, it was his turn. Taking a deep breath, he stood. The air felt charged. As he read his short speech, he could hear the words resonate, echoing through the room. He shared what it meant to have his mother as a role model and how her organization truly affected lives. When he finished, the room fell silent for a moment, just a moment. Then, applause erupted. Surprised, Jake felt a blush creep up his cheeks as he sank back into his seat, overwhelmed. This was different. This was acceptance, connection. Maya, sitting a couple of seats away, gave him a thumbs up. That was powerful, Jake, she said with a smile, validating his feelings. Jake couldn't help but smile back, the warmth spreading through him. If they could understand him, if they could understand his mom, then maybe he could understand himself better. The lunch bell had marked a new chapter, and this felt like another step forward. His mom's voice, his voice, merging into one powerful narrative. As the final bell rang for class to end, Jake noticed a few classmates approach him, curiosity bright in their eyes. They asked questions about hope together, about how they could help, and laughter mixed with their enthusiasm. This was how change began, through conversations, through connections. But as he exited the classroom and stepped into the bustling hallway, a familiar figure caught his eye. Sarah was waiting for him, her brow furrowed in thought as she scanned the crowd. The moment their eyes met, Jake felt the shift. "Hey, can we talk?" she asked. Her tone wasn't light like usual, a hint of urgency behind her words. Jake's heartbeat quickened. What could be so serious? Was it about the school project, or was there something deeper, something that could change his perspective again? The uncertainty gnawed at him as he nodded, preparing himself for whatever revelation lay ahead. Would it be another step forward or a stumbling block in his journey? "Sure," Jake replied, bracing himself. "What's up?" Jake followed Sarah as they left the classroom, the hallway bustling around them. Students chatted animatedly, laughter and excitement spilling from locker clusters. Yet here he was, caught in a whirlwind of nerves and unanswered questions. "What is going on?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Sarah glanced around, her gaze darting nervously before she led him to a quieter corner near the art room. The wall was adorned with vibrant pieces of student art, but all he could focus on was the crease in her brow. "I didn't want to talk about this in front of everyone," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's about your mom." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. "What about her?" She hesitated, taking a deep breath as if summoning courage. "The organization she runs, Hope Together. I heard something really surprising. I thought you should know." "What do you mean?" Jake pressed, desperation creeping into his voice. There was a slight pause, and he could see her sorting through her thoughts. "I might have overheard some older kids talking. They mentioned that your mom has been getting recognition, but not just locally. There are big names involved. She's been nominated for a huge award, Jake, a national one." A rush of conflicting emotions washed over him. Pride mingled with disbelief. An award? For what? Sarah shifted, her eyes serious. For impacting lives, for her dedication. But they were also saying some not-so-great stuff. Like how some people believe her focus is too narrow, that she should concentrate on more than just the community. Jake's heart began racing. The world he knew was expanding before him, and with it, new layers of pressure. "Is that bad?" "I don't know, but it worries me," she admitted. "I thought you should know what people were saying, in case it gets back to you. It could lead to disputes or, I don't know, pressure on your mom." He couldn't believe it. Was it all going to be too much for her? The thought of anyone doubting her made something twist painfully in his chest. She's doing incredible work. She doesn't deserve that. I know, Jake. Her voice softened, and she placed a reassuring hand on his arm. And you're doing amazing work too. You spoke about her with so much passion today. Maybe it's time you told her how you feel, too. Maybe you two can face this together. Jake searched her eyes, feeling something shift within him. The urge to protect his mother surged stronger than the fear. He had already stepped into the spotlight by sharing his story. Now it was time to stand alongside her to fight back against any negativity that could threaten the amazing work she was doing. Thanks for telling me, he said, determination burning deeply. I need to talk to her. She deserves to know how proud I am of her. As they turned to leave, Sarah smiled, the tension easing from her expression. That's the spirit. Just be honest. She'll appreciate it. Jake nodded, his heart steadying. He felt a buoyancy now, a mix of respect and love that carried him forward. You'll help me, right? We can figure this out together. Always, she replied warmly. They walked back into the vibrant chaos of the school, conversations swirling around them like a protective cocoon. Jake's eyes roamed the hall, feeling as if he had a new mission, a way to ensure his mother did not face this alone. It was time to prepare for the upcoming days, where the truth would unravel, and he would forge a path of support both for her and for himself. But as they reached the exit, Jake paused, spotting a bulletin board plastered with colorful announcements. One caught his eye: Community Award Ceremony nominee announcements tomorrow. His breath caught. What if we're both in the spotlight now? Sarah turned, her expression curious. You really think it could be a good thing? Jake met her gaze, the thrill of potential sparking within him. It has to be. We just need to find the right way to show everyone who she really is. Driven by hope and anxiety, they stepped out into the world beyond the school doors, unaware of how his journey of revelations was just beginning and what hidden truths about his mother loomed ahead. Would he be able to confront those truths? The next morning, a haze of excitement and nerves swirled in Jake's chest as he stepped into the school building. His mind raced, thoughts darting between his upcoming conversation with his mom and the community award ceremony that loomed just hours away. He couldn't shake the feeling that the day would change everything. Hey, you ready for today? Sarah greeted him as they met by the lockers. The usual bustle of students around them felt magnified. He could hear laughter, but inside, he felt a tight knot of anticipation. Not really, he admitted, his voice steady despite his racing heart. I really need to talk to my mom first. I don't want her to feel alone in all this. She nodded, her face reflecting understanding. You'll do great. Just remember what you want to say. Jake took a deep breath, pushing thoughts of the award aside for the moment. He focused on the look on Sarah's face, which radiated encouragement. Thanks for being there, Sarah. It really means a lot. As the morning dragged on, his concentration slipped. In class, he struggled to pay attention to the math problems on the board. Instead, he practiced what he would say to his mom in his head. The moment it was time to leave for lunch, he dashed toward the parking lot, eager to confront the unknown. The car ride home felt unusually long. Each minute seemed to stretch endlessly as Jake's fingers tapped nervously on his thigh. He pictured his mom's welcoming smile when he entered their house, her vibrant energy always lighting up the room. Would the smile remain when she learned of the whispers around her work? When he finally arrived, he found her in the kitchen, busily preparing lunch. The familiar sound of the knife chopping vegetables brought a sense of normalcy, but today felt anything but ordinary. Hey, sweetie. How was school? She called out, wiping her hands on her apron and turning to greet him. Can we talk? He asked, his voice trembling slightly. Her expression shifted from cheerful to curious, and she nodded, leading him to the small family room. Of course. What's on your mind? She asked, her own concern evident in her eyes. Jake fumbled with his words, feeling the weight of the conversation. I heard something at school. About hope together. About you. His mom's brow furrowed as she settled onto the couch, her hands clasped in front of her. What did you hear? There's an award ceremony today. They mentioned you've been nominated. But also, some people think you're too focused on just our community. Her expression flickered, a mix of surprise and something darker, maybe worry. Jake, I didn't think this would get back to you so soon. Why wouldn't you want me to know? He said, urgency growing in his tone. Mom, I need you to know I'm proud of you. What you do matters. She sighed, and he watched as the walls he never knew existed began to crack. Honey, I appreciate that. But sometimes, it's hard. People have opinions. I'm just trying to do what I think is right. No, Mom. You're doing something incredible. You're impacting lives. I heard the stories. He leaned in, passion filling the air between them. People need to know about you, who you are. Not just what you do. Tears glistened in her eyes, and Jake felt his own welling up. He reached for her hands, squeezing gently. You don't have to go through this alone. We can face it together. I wish it was that simple, she began, her voice thick with emotion. His heart raced at the thought of the community ceremony. It can be. What if we shared your journey? All your hard work? We need to make them see you as you truly are. Mom's gaze flickered with hope, but also fear. Jake, sometimes revealing too much can come with risks. But what's worth doing if it doesn't inspire others? He asked. Inspiration swelled around them like a current. Let us show everyone the real you. There was a moment of silence, her eyes searching his, and for the first time, he saw vulnerability mixed with determination. All right, she whispered, her voice breaking. Let us do it. A sudden honk outside interrupted their moment. It was Sarah. Waiting to go back to school for the award ceremony. Jake felt a jolt of anxiety again, but this time, it was mixed with excitement. The path ahead was uncertain, but they were going into it together. With renewed resolve, they both rose from the couch, feeling a weight lift, the beginning of an incredible journey. As they headed out, Jake couldn't shake the thought, what other truths were still hidden? What else would they uncover together? Jake climbed into the car, adrenaline coursing through his veins. Sarah looked at him with curiosity, her brows slightly raised. You okay? You look like you just ran a marathon. He chuckled nervously, wanting to ease the tension. Just had a really important talk with my mom. You know, the kind that changes everything? Nice. So, are you ready for the ceremony? She asked, her voice full of enthusiasm. Yeah, I think so. I mean, now that we're doing this together. His heart raced, still tinged with apprehension about how the award ceremony would unfold. The thought of the crowd, of his mother being honored, ignited a mix of pride and anxiety in him. As they pulled back into the school parking lot, Jake couldn't help but feel a surge of purpose. They stepped out of the car, and the chatter of students filled the air, a chaotic melody. Jake's excitement mixed with uncertainty as he spotted the banners for the ceremony adorning the school gym. It all felt so official, so grand. Are you going to make a speech or something? Sarah asked, her eyes twinkling. Jake stammered, what? Me? No way, that's a lot of pressure. The idea of standing up there, speaking about his mom, made his stomach swirl. What if he couldn't find the right words? You should. She encouraged. If anyone can say what needs to be said, it's you. Maybe, but first, let us see how she feels about it all. He needed to gauge her reaction before plunging into any public declarations. As students filed into the gym, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement. Jake's gaze searched for his mom amidst the crowd. When he finally spotted her, she looked radiant, chatting with a few familiar faces. He felt a warm swell of pride. She was so dedicated, always giving her all. Yet, there was still that shadow of doubt lingering within him about how the community viewed her. The ceremony began, and Jake took a seat with Sarah, his heart hammering in his chest. One by one, the nominees were introduced. When his mom's name was announced, a wave of applause washed over him. She stood there, a bit shy but definitely glowing. As she approached the stage, the speech she had prepared echoed in Jake's mind. What if it didn't capture her true essence? What if it was just a mask for the crowd? His thoughts were interrupted as she spoke. When I decided to launch Hope Together, she began, I didn't think it would grow into something so impactful. I just wanted to help. Her voice shook slightly, but determination fueled every word she delivered. Her stories flooded in, tales of lives transformed through her work, of challenges overcome, and the support that had grown within their community. As she continued, Jake realized she was sharing more than just facts. She was revealing herself, opening up in a way that was both raw and powerful. The audience was captivated, tears prickled at the corners of Jake's eyes as he listened. He felt the energy in the room shift. The tension and whispers he sensed earlier began to dissipate, replaced by admiration and inspiration. When her speech ended, she looked around the room, her eyes sparkling with hope. The applause that followed was thunderous. As she stepped off the stage, the pride Jake felt surged even more, and in that moment, he knew he had to speak. That he bounded toward her before she could weave through the throngs of admirers. "Mom!" he called out, urgency bouncing in his voice. She turned, a radiant smile breaking through her earlier nervousness. "Jake, did you see? They loved it. Can I say something?" he blurted. The question hung in the air. Her surprise was palpable, then she nodded slowly, her eyes wide with pride and anticipation. "If you feel it, go for it." Jake took a deep breath and pushed past the crowd toward the microphone. The gym quieted down as he adjusted the stand, heart racing. "This is more than just an award," he started, glancing back at his mom, who was looking at him with curiosity and admiration. "It's about the person behind it. My mother doesn't just help our community, she believes in us." The words poured out, fueled by everything he felt and witnessed. "She fights for us, for the stories of every life she touches." The crowd erupted, cheers filling the gym. Jake's heart soared. This was real. This was their truth. But just as the applause faded and Jake felt a wave of satisfaction wash over him, he noticed a figure in the back, an unfamiliar face, arms folded. The look they gave his mother was uneasy, skeptical. Why were they here? A chill ran down his spine. What was behind that expression? Jake's excitement dimmed slightly. As cheers echoed in the gym, a new question lingered in his heart. What other challenges lay ahead for his mom? And who was that stranger watching from the shadows? Jake's heart thudded as he turned his attention back to the stage. His mother deserved this moment, this recognition, but he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that had settled in his stomach. Who was that stranger, and what did they want? As the crowd's cheers began to blend into a warm hum, Jake felt both proud and protective. He scanned the gym again, seeking out the figure who had captured his attention. There they were, an older man, probably in his 50s, his arms crossed tightly across a dark shirt, eyes sharp, surveying the room. Jake didn't like the way that gaze flicked toward his mother, like she was a puzzle to be solved. "Jake? Earth to Jake?" Sarah's voice broke through his thoughts, pulling him back into the celebration. Her eyes sparkled with joy, but Jake's gut told him to stay alert. "Yeah, I'm here," he replied, shaking off the tension. "Your speech was amazing." She beamed. "Seriously, you should do that more often." But Jake's smile was fleeting. "Thanks, but did you see that guy in the back?" Sarah squinted, her interest piqued. You mean the one scowling? Maybe he's just having a bad day. I don't think so, Jake said, worry sliding into his voice. He's looking at Mom like she's hiding something. Before Sarah could respond, the stranger pushed himself away from the wall and started walking toward them, each step deliberate. Jake felt his pulse quicken. Yeah, definitely not a good day, Jake muttered under his breath before bracing himself for whatever might happen next. When the man reached them, he stopped a few feet away, taking a moment to evaluate Jake and Sarah with an assessing look. You're Jake, right? His voice was deep, with an air of authority that made Jake uneasy. That's me and you are? Who I am doesn't matter. What does is your mother and the work she's doing. I'm not here to celebrate, Jake. What do you mean? Jake's heart raced. I mean, I've been watching her for a while now. The man's eyes softened slightly, almost as if he felt pity. She has a good heart, but that can be dangerous in this line of work. The gym seemed to fade away. Time slowed. What do you know about my mom? Underneath the brashness, Jake felt a raw, growing anxiety. I know she's in over her head. There are forces at play that she doesn't fully understand. The man leaned closer, lowering his voice as if he were sharing a secret. I'm connected to the board that oversees her organization. She's been making waves, and not everyone is on her side. Jake's world tilted. Are you threatening her? Not threatening. Warning. The man straightened and took a step back. You should have a talk with her. The next time you see her, ask about what is going on behind the scenes. There are people who don't want her to succeed. With that, he pivoted on his heel and melted back into the crowd, leaving Jake numb. Jake? What happened? Sarah's brows knitted together in concern. I think we need to talk to Mom. Jake's voice was steady, but inside, a storm raged. What did that man know? What dangers lay ahead for his mother? He quickly scanned the gym, searching for her among the happy faces and congratulatory hugs. She deserved to know but didn't want to scare her. Yet, the urgency clawed at him. As they moved to find her, Jake's heart thumped wildly. This wasn't just an award ceremony anymore. There were shadows lurking, and he had to uncover the truth. With each step, the weight of their lives ahead pressed heavily on his shoulders. What secrets was his mother holding back, and what challenges awaited her just around the corner? Jake needed answers, and soon. Jake pushed through the crowd, his heart racing. Each cheer felt stifling, every smile a reminder of the unknown dangers lurking just out of sight. Was that ominous man telling the truth? Was his mother really in trouble? Jake, slow down. Sarah grabbed his arm, her grip tightening as she tried to keep pace. Talk to me. What did he say? You look like you just saw a ghost. Her concern fueled his urgency. I don't know, Sarah. He knows things about Mom. Dangerous things. Okay, then let us find her. Sarah nodded, her face resolute. They weaved through clusters of people, the celebration still in full swing. Jake tried to focus on their goal, but the anxiety clawed at him. Where would he even start? There she was, standing at the edge of the stage, her smile shining brighter than the gym lights. She was talking to a group of friends, all of them animated, celebrating her big moment. Jake felt a swell of pride for her achievements, yet the nagging feeling remained something was off. Mom! He finally called out, hearing the tightness in his own voice as he broke through the laughter and clapping. She turned, and that smile faltered for just a second when she saw his face. Jake! Honey, what's wrong? She stepped closer, concern replacing the joy. Can we talk? It's important. Of course, let us step out for a moment. She glanced at Sarah, who nodded reassuringly. They found a quieter corner near the gym entrance, where the echoes of laughter faded into the background. Jake took a breath, trying to gather his thoughts. Mom, there's something I need to tell you. Is it about the ceremony? I really hope I didn't forget the no, it's about that man. Jake surged ahead, his words tumbling out in a frantic rush. The one in the back. He said he's connected to your organization. He warned me that you're in trouble. Mom, what does he mean by that? His mother's expression shifted instantly. The shift was subtle, but Jake caught it. Her confidence waned, replaced by a shadow of concern that she tried to hide. Jake, you shouldn't be worrying about that now. Let us focus on tonight. Mom. He didn't mean to raise his voice, but the fear seeped through. You can't brush this off. What's really going on? Her eyes darted away for a moment before settling back on him. It's complicated, sweetie. There's politics and regulations. People don't always align with what's right. Complicated how? You always tell me it's worth it to fight for what you believe in. But if there are people trying to undermine you, Jake felt desperate, clinging to anything that would make sense of the chaos. She took a deep breath, almost as if she was preparing to unveil some heavy truth. There are factions within the board that don't believe in my approach. I'm pushing for changes that make a real impact. Not everyone wants those changes. His heart seized, the weight of those words settling like stones in his stomach. What should we do? She paused, her gaze softening. We'll figure it out together. But right now, I want you to enjoy this night. This is a celebration of everything we've worked for. Jake wanted to argue, to press her more, but the warmth in her expression reminded him of her strength. Okay. But, can you promise me we'll talk more later? I need to know you're safe. I promise, she said, placing a hand on his shoulder, grounding him in the moment. Just then, the lights dimmed again, signaling the start of another speech. Jake's mind raced back to the man's warning, even as he plastered on a smile for his mother's sake. But as the applause erupted around them, he couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge lay ahead. What if the next time they spoke, things were different? The warm glow of the gym felt cold inside him. What would he need to protect her from? He could already feel the weight of a storm brewing. And without warning, he felt the chilling brush of a familiar presence behind him, the stranger. Why was he back? What did he want now? Jake's heart sank as their gaze met, and the darkness of uncertainty loomed larger than ever. Jake's heart raced as the stranger stepped forward, slipping out from the shadows like a specter, creating an immediate chill in the air around him. The laughter and applause of the ceremony faded into a dull roar in the background, eclipsed by the tension wrapping around Jake's chest. Jake, right? The man said, his voice smooth but laced with something sharp. Yeah, Jake replied, holding his ground. What do you want now? The man leaned in slightly, eyes scanning the bustling gym as if he were weighing the people around them. You're very vocal about your mother's mission. But maybe you should consider the consequences of her decisions. Jake's blood boiled. You don't know anything about us. On the contrary, the man replied with an unsettling grin. I know more than you think. I know your mom's been causing quite the stir, pushing for changes that disrupt the status quo. Some people aren't going to take that lightly. Is that supposed to scare me? Jake felt a surge of defiance combine with his worry for his mom. My mom is doing good work. She helps people who need it. Good work comes at a price, the man responded, his gaze narrowing. And sometimes, it costs more than you're prepared to pay. She's in a precarious position, Jake. It might be time to reevaluate your pride in her work. Enough. Jake snapped, shaking his head. You don't get to come here and throw threats around. You don't know the first thing about her. She's fighting for the people who have no voice. The man studied Jake for a moment, eyebrows rising. It's admirable you're protective, kid. But you're naive. This isn't just about heart, it's about politics. And politics can be dangerous. Just as the man was about to say more, someone from the crowd called his name. Ted. Come on, we need you for the next presentation. The stranger quickly shifted his focus, the tension momentarily breaking. I'll be watching, Ted said, giving Jake one final look over his shoulder as he turned away. Trust me, you want to keep a close eye on your mother. With that, he melted back into the crowd, leaving Jake standing there with an uneasy knot in his stomach. Jake? Sarah's voice broke through. She'd been watching from a distance, her expression revealing a blend of concern and confusion. What just happened? Nothing good, he sighed as he rubbed at the tension in his neck. That guy Ted, he thinks Mom is in over her head with her non-profit. He said there are people watching her, and that it isn't just friendly. Does she know? Sarah asked, her wide eyes reflecting his own worry. Not yet, but she needs to hear this. The moment shifted. The warmth of celebration felt distant now, overshadowed by shadows Jake couldn't ignore. They had to protect his mom, and he needed to make sure she was prepared for the challenges ahead. Just then, the crowd erupted in applause once more. Jake turned to see his mother, the light of pride shimmering in her eyes after her speech. People approached her, offering handshakes and small gifts of appreciation. He stepped closer, feeling the connection to her warmth thrum in his chest, yet he was acutely aware of the weight of what he needed to say. Mom! Jake called, weaving through the gathering throng to reach her. The smiles around them felt hollow now, a backdrop to the truth that loomed larger than the moment. When he finally reached her side, her face lit up, but Jake couldn't share in that glow just yet. Can we talk? He blurted out, urgency causing him to speak louder than he intended. Of course, sweetheart. What's on your mind? She asked, her voice bubbly but her brows knitting together in concern. Not here. Let us go outside. Jake could see the hesitation dart across her expression as if she sensed the shift in tone, but she nodded and led him through the grateful crowd. Once they stepped outside into the crisp evening air, Jake felt a calming breath wash over him. Stars began to twinkle above, a reminder that the world still spun, even as chaos enveloped them. Mom, there's something I need to tell you, and you have to promise to listen completely before you react, Jake started, his voice steadying. Jake, you're scaring me. What is it? She eyed him closely, realization forming in her expressive gaze. The man we talked about earlier, Ted? He's connected to the board and he warned me that there are people out there who aren't happy with you pushing for the changes Hope Together is making. He said it could get dangerous. A flicker of concern passed over her face, eyes darting to the ground as if searching for answers. Jake, I didn't want Mom. He interrupted, his voice now firm. I know you're trying to protect me, but you have to face this. We're a team, remember? You always taught me that we can overcome anything as long as we stand together. But you can't let fear stop you from doing the good work you're meant to do. Tears glistened in her eyes. I just wanted to keep you safe from this burden, being afraid won't help anyone. He stepped closer, gathering every ounce of courage he had. But facing this together can. I'm proud of you, Mom. You've touched so many lives. Now we have to touch those who might turn against you with your truth. She took a deep breath, courage replacing doubt. You're right. I can't shy away from doing what's right. Together, we'll face whatever comes next. The embrace that followed felt like a shield around them both. In that moment, they became a united front, ready to confront everything the world had yet to throw their way. Jake's resolve strengthened. They wouldn't just survive, they would thrive. No longer hidden shadows, but fierce lights fighting for what was right. As he pulled back, he searched her gaze for affirmation, for calmness, and found both. Let us keep working together, Mom, he said earnestly. Hope Together is just the beginning, our work doesn't stop here. She regarded him, a spark of fierce determination igniting in her eyes. "You're absolutely right, Jake. Let us show them who we are." The lingering apprehension was there, but now they stood resolute, ready for whatever storms lay ahead. Holding hands, they stepped back into the crowd of people connecting and celebrating, ready to awaken the community to the truth of their mission. Together, they were unstoppable. As the evening carried on, lulled by the intoxicating promise of hope and change, Jake felt something igniting inside of him. This was not just about his mother anymore, it was about him, too. Their journey, underlined with shadows of struggle and illuminated by love and determination, was just beginning. This was their moment, and they were going to seize it. And with that, he knew they had the strength to transform what lay ahead into a powerful narrative, a blending of lives changed and boundaries pushed. Hand in hand, they were ready to create something remarkable. It was no longer just a dream, this was their reality. Now more than ever, they needed the world to hear their voices. If you felt the power in this story, you need to subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive tales that inspire courage and change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us spread the light. Comment your reactions and feelings about this powerful ending, and don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. True fans like you understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions. Join the movement, let's make a difference together.